All right, everyone, good morning. Good Wednesday morning to you. Empowered Soul Network continues to grow and thrive, and we've been doing amazing interviews for the last few weeks. And I have the distinct privilege and honor of interviewing Dr. Jasmilde. I think I got that right. I think I did pretty good.
You got it perfect.
There we go. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Empowered Soul Network. It's really great to have you here this morning. I know you're busy, been out jogging and so on, so appreciate you taking the time here today. Um, Desmelde is a neuroscientist. She is an intuitive healer and a spiritual coach. Done tremendous service for people all over the globe. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation, Paul. Good morning to absolutely everyone that is watching either live or the recording. And
Tell us a
it's a
little bit
pleasure.
about yourself. Yeah.
There you go. It's a pleasure to be here. And I uh, I am Cuban, but I've lived in Canada for the last 22 years. And I've gone through in my human experience, I've gone through 30 years on the fields of human sciences, and then found myself in the fields of energy work and intuitive healing and spiritual coaching. It's been a ride.
There you go. So what these days, because of your background and your history, what do you find is really coming from the heart lately that you're experiencing in yourself and your own personal growth, seeing that in your clients? What's happening for you in this whole realm of expansion of healing and spirituality?
Um, Paul, I discovered a while ago that my practice, my relationships, my with everyone, no, not only in the personal but in the professional and in the um, limits of my practice, that all of that could reflect exactly where I'm at in my own development. Spirituality for me is all about connection, primarily connection to myself, discovering the things that I can become, the potentials inside of me, and secondarily, the connection between me and everything, not only, spirit, but people, things, plants, animals, whatever. This is just that relationship. And that has grown, evolved in me quite a bit during the last 3 years, to put it like that. And accordingly, my practice have evolved as well. And the biggest part, and I could say the most recent in linear time, has been to discover how naive I was around what love is,
Mm.
and the relationship that has, or the implications, I would say, that has, relative to my energy, my field, the vibrations that I feel in me, the things I can channel through, the things I can connect with, the way I speak, the things that come through me. It's a constant um, combination between staying open and curious and in awe, with discovering what that brings into my life and the lives that I touch. That has been the biggest thing. And I think it's meant to be for all of us. In my journey specifically, because I think I'm meant to help and facilitate others to discover that.
That's so beautiful. In the interviewing I'm doing and the people I'm connecting with, there's such a diversity of the experience and the journeys that people have. Yet there's this feeling of here's where I was, here's where I
Mm,
am now, and
mm,
the reality, and as you say, the wisdom that's coming because I have grown and prospered. Can you take us a little bit more into, if you would, the where you were before in your journey, before this
mm,
self-discovery began to blossom and open up? What was happening for you? Because it really helped people listening
mm.
today to know that there's hope and there's opportunities and so on. What was happening for you before these openings?
Yes. I was always, since I was a child,
Mm.
very, very, very much self-aware and introspective in the way that I used to say when I was a teenager that I already was my own psychoanalyst. Right. What I didn't know is how mental that process was for me because I didn't know any different. Right. I thought that journey um, brought me to decide when I was 13 that the way that I could fulfill that need that I always felt of being part of the wave of development, right? The evolution for humanity. Where are we moving? Why do we want to get there? I was always really aware of that. And I decided at 13 that that way I could do it was through becoming a scientist. And because of that, that was at the core of all of my evolution until I was actually 35. Um, and because in the road, I actually accumulated 4 scientific degrees and I was super active in my career. Successful if you look at it from the point that I traveled, like I did some of it in Cuba, but then I came to Canada and actually did my PhD here, and I was offered a job that was created for me, and I was the research manager of one of the biggest laboratories in the Faculty of Medicine in one of the universities at Ottawa, which is where I live. That being said, on the personal side of things, I went through seriously impactful experiences, such as navigating cancer with my mother and, her losing that battle. When I was only 30, I came to Canada knowing absolutely no one. So I came without even knowing where I would sleep or work or live that day. And that was a process and a decision. I got divorced for the first time after 14 years of relationship, right a year after. So those three things happened one in 3 consecutive years. And then after that, I went into the PhD, which is one of the most challenges fields, neuroscience, known in that field, the field of human sciences. And um, I just decided that it was a good idea to marry the third time and then divorce after 6 years and then married a third time and then divorced after 6 years. And all of that upheaval, emotional, that I don't think I ever took time to process fully, brought me to a place where I was depressed. I was sick, suffering from 5 chronic conditions, under medication for 4 of them. I was always, I was exhausted. Seriously, I was seriously exhausted. I couldn't find it in myself to be motivated by what I was doing. I had been so inspired to get into science, at the beginning of my career, and it felt like I was doing nothing relevant, just following the motions. And the third divorce, I think it was the cherry on top. It hit me at a time that it brought me to a place where I said something needs to change, and I'm obviously not aware of what it is. Otherwise, I would have done it.
Right.
Um, so I'm missing something. I'm missing a point. It was obvious to me at the time that conventional medicine wasn't able to help me. Conventional medicine is great in acute situations. It sucks in chronic ones. And I had learned that through almost a decade of dealing with my conditions. And I got into this visceral intention of I need to heal and I need to discover what that means. And as always, maybe you and many people that are listening to this are aware of this, as soon as we get to that kind of resolution, the universe starts open doors. And that's exactly what happened to me. And that brought me to where I am today, which is an amazing place to be. But I was in the darkest spaces that you can imagine. And when people now tell me, how have you been so courageous, let's put it that way, to break with everything in your life to start a new thing, such as leaving a 30-year-long career behind to doing something that hold absolutely no guarantees to it. I say, yeah, that your question is probably associated with the fact that you might have never been in as dark a place as I found myself once, because
So,
that's what it took for me.
I really appreciate you sharing, that the realities of all that, because there's so many people that, they have parallel versions, whether it's that deep or some other thing. So what is, from your experience in yourself and what you've seen in clients and so on, how does a person find that spark to want to make that change? To where's the courage there that takes them from the survival mode or the outright victim mode to taking even that first step? How does someone find that and maybe take that first step?
I think there is no universal answer to that question. So
Okay.
I'm going to bring myself to how it happened for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect.
Um, and I think in my case, it was a combination of two things. One was the drive that has originally got me into where I was, which wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, erroneous, but it was just, focus on the wrong thing, I could say, of sorts. But that drive of being better, I remember thinking when I was in my early youth of I can never be my worst enemy. And that would bring me to places where that I needed to change something in me, right? Like it's not the people, it's not the environment, it's me. I need to adjust something in me, and I always had that as far as I can remember. That was part of it. But the other one is when the tip of the balance goes more from now I need to get validated and I need to be right because I've done all of these things and I have had all these achievements. And I'm so successful on these that I can be wrong, right? I mean, this should be the right thing, right? And is the needle moving from there to, I need more to feel whole than to be right.
Beautiful.
And when that need became bigger than the other one, then it overrode it. It's like, I chances are that I need guidance. That I need someone to point the finger. I know I can get there, but I need someone to tell me, this is where things got awry, and this is what you might want to try. And to me, that was a tipping point. It's courage, but the courage of looking in, admitting that you have responsibility, even if unconscious, on whatever you landed on, right? And I think that that's how it happened
Yeah.
for
I
me.
mean, I love this conversation. I mean, it's beautiful. And listening to you share, just Melde, that sense of wanting to go forward, wanting to
Mhm.
move forward. So as a child of 13, this drive, this desire, to explore, into the scientific side and moving to Cuba, I mean, why all of us, I mean, moving from Cuba, why all of a sudden go to Canada? There's something in there that impels that. It could be practical economics or, cultural things, but the bottom line is there's always that move forward. And it's almost like I hear you saying that whatever a person's journey is, in some ways, there's really nothing wrong with where they have been. That's been a part of the process of them learning and growing. So really having that, I guess if you could speak this to a little bit, having that self-esteem and giving myself a pat on the back for the fact that I have done something and moved forward, and I'm continuing to expand and find out what I really truly want deep down inside, right? Isn't that kind of where people need to get to?
I think it's a very good place to be because I actually remember that there was a time when I was already exploring, spirituality in many ways, in how I could bring that into my life. With actually, I became a lot more open to sharing, to being, vulnerable, and getting into relationships that I would have never explored before. And part of the process was, I remember in one of those, people that were with me started saying, you know, I'm curious, why do I have to go through this process so long? And how many times do I have revisit this same thing? And, how long is this gonna happen? Blah, blah, blah. And they look at me, I said, and ask me, don't you ask yourself those questions? And it hit me at that moment. I looked at them, I said, no. And they said, well, how come? And the point of this story is because I had experienced so much, because of that drive had led me to do so many things, and risk and take risks, and make changes in my life so many times. I was 100% sure of what didn't work. 100% sure. And so in that moment when they asked me, I realized, I told them, I tell you why. It's because the why is in the mind. And I lived in my mind for 40 years. And I can tell you, it didn't bring me to any place that I wanted to be in. It didn't work. I was super trained for it. I was extremely good at it. And guess what? I was unhappy, sick, living an emotional and mental upheaval. And I didn't know how to get out of the whole maze of thinking and overthinking that I have created for myself. So now I'm 100% open to be surprised.
Beautiful,
That's
beautiful.
why, that's why I don't need to know.
Bring it on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, bring that next adventure. Bring that next adventure. Yasmilde, what do you think is that you've referenced the universe a few times, and of course, my experience resonates with the connection with that tremendously. And I love those conversations about that. What do you feel are some of the clues for people to be able to connect with that inner guidance, with that sense of that guiding light, if you will? You mentioned, I need someone to kind of help or whatever. And, people for eons of time have talked about that kind of higher source of inspiration, whether they call it guides or guidance or messengers of God or angels, whatever that is. What do you feel are some of the ways that people can start to tap that brings that into the adventure, that helps them release all the mental stuff and get into the heart?
Mhm. Love the question because that's exactly what I do.
I know, that's why I asked it.
Okay. Okay. But I tell my clients all the time, and I actually remind myself of it as often as possible. More than what you do, what's the practice that you do, is even more relevant. What's the intention behind the practice? So something we do at the very beginning is to work in what do you want to create? We get into this loop of, especially once we are in the spiritual road intentionally, when we have awakened to alternatives. And when we are there, I notice that there is a lot of, I need to get rid of. I need to get rid of the limiting beliefs. I need to get rid of whatever energy. I need to protect myself from X, Y, or Z. I need to, da, da, da. And so it's a combination of I need to get rid of and clearing yourself, and then going back to what else do I need to get rid of. And that always keeps you in the negative, actually, because that's what you're thinking about. Even if what you're after is solutions, you need the problem to validate the solution. And so it keeps you in a loop that it doesn't pull you forward very far. It brings you to a place where you then get into the same kind of vibration, right? To me, what completes that cycle is not that those are wrong, is that there is one missing. Is what do you want to replace that with? What do you want to feel, to create, to bring into your life? And there has to be an initial process so that everything that you do after that, you know exactly why you are doing it for moving forward. To me, that's basics, and it's the first thing that we try to explore. I mean, it's not like you'll get it at one try, but we definitely start the journey there, poking that in. If your answer to that question right off the bat is, I don't know, I don't know what I want really, unless I tell you what I don't want. I don't want this, I don't want that. Yeah, but when it comes to in the positive, what do I want to create? Then we stutter a bit, quite a bit. So that's something that needs to get addressed right off the bat. Then after that, it starts with a simple, intentional, very slow breath when you allow yourself to let go of control. That's the beginning of a beautiful journey after that, where we visit ways in which you feel empowered, grounding your field and experiencing how that is. How does that impact my um, humanity of sorts? Right? And then
Beautiful.
getting into energy work that allows the heart center to get activated and open. If that is not happening, it's very difficult to recreate vibrations that are high. That needs to happen first. And then you need to feel empowered in how to detoxify yourself from chronic stress chemistry. That is very, very real and very impactful and at the physical level. We need to develop a different relationship with that. And then get into a state where it is easy to slip into meditative states. And that as a, brief, super simplified description of a journey that puts me in awe most of the time, seeing the transformations and that can happen
It's
when
beautiful. That's beautiful. As we wrap up here, I'm hoping that I know they will. That the people that are watching today or that see the replay of this uh, take note of the simplicity of how Jasmelde has expressed herself here today, and as a coach and mentor and so on, the the foundation that anybody needs to start with in helping somebody is where is the beginning of that. And and my mentor used to tell me, if somebody's telling you about what they don't want, they're actually telling you what they do want because they define something. And all I have to do is shift around a little bit and say, well, what's the opposite of that? That's what you do want. So yeah, it's just what powerful words of wisdom, Jasmine. I really appreciate that you've brought this down to earth, because sometimes in interviewing people who are very trained in the scientific world and so on, it can get heady, and get intellectual. And then to have that wisdom and bring it into the common sense of spirituality, which is to start here. That's beautiful. I really appreciate you sharing that in the way you did today. How can we get in touch with you? How can people connect to find out more about you and what you do?
It's very easy. You go Google and put Yasmilde, you'll find me. There is only one in the world. I have a Dr. Yasmilde's page in Facebook, and that you can find me that way. I also have a precious community in a group that the name starts with the Clarity Oasis, and it's a space for spiritually curious professionals and the heady people that are that are looking for guidance this way. Those are the easiest way to get to me. Just shoot me a DM or a messenger or however way you want to get in touch.
Beautiful, wonderful. And then Jasmelde will put that in the comments also underneath the play of this video. We're live streaming right now, so she won't do that just yet. But right after we get done, she can put that in there, and be sure to connect. The connection, I think you'll find powerful. Jasmilde, thank you so much for being an Empowered Soul Network today. It's just a super pleasure. You are definitely an empowered soul, and we need more of those people expressing themselves. So thank you so much for coming today. Everybody, that's it for our interview this morning. There's more coming later today, so stay tuned. More coming all week. So enjoy a wonderful Empowered Soul Day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Stick around, Jasmilde. We'll chat here.